Hey everyone, this is Joe with SignTracker. Welcome to today's webinar. In this webinar, we're going to discuss quoting in SignTracker, quoting your sign projects. So I'm pretty excited about this webinar because this is all of our newest, latest, and greatest tools in the quoting system in SignTracker. So in this video, I'm going to be covering how to quote within a job and also how to do the setup of the quoting. And there's some other videos you can watch on setting up for the quoting as well that are shorter. So anyway, in SignTracker, you first have to start a job. So if a customer calls in and they want to quote on something, you simply go New Job, and then it opens up the job. I'm not going to torture you to watch me type, so I'll open up an existing job. You would actually get this screen here. You can type in the job name, a description. You can type ahead. It'll pull the client's information from the contact section, automatically fill everything in. This is what's going to go on the contract. And then, of course, this is all part of just setting up for the job. It's a product or service, who the project manager is, etc. You don't have to fill any of that out to give a quick quote to a customer. As long as you just start the job, it's probably a good idea to put a little description in and capture the customer's information. You can always come back and fill this out later. So we save the changes, and it creates this job. And of course, you're probably not going to have a due date, and it's going to land in the first column in the first spot of the job flow board. And so now you have your new job. And that takes all of about 2 seconds to set up a new job. And then once the new job's set up, you basically go to Quote Worksheet. And just as a side note, in SignTracker, everything is set up as a new job first because there's so many things you have to do to a job, whether it's collect the client's logo, do a design, actually get some material quotes to do a job, whatever. I mean, you might have some set pricing on things, which is great if for a simple thing like a 4x8 banner or Coroplast signs or whatever, and you can just shoot prices out pretty quick based on those types of things. But if you don't get the job for some reason, the client goes with somebody else, then all you got to do is just go to this here, and you can do this on the job list or on the job flow board and just move this job to archived. And it's a good idea to keep it because you've captured the client's information, you've captured some information about them, like their logos or whatever, and you never know, they're going to come back to you when they decide the guy down the street was terrible. So anyway, and you can look at other videos that talk about how to manage your jobs, but we're going to talk about just quoting today. So if it's a brand new job and you're quoting it, you got a little bit of the client's information, now you want to give them a quote. You can either go to contracts, especially if it's just a one thing, but you can have multiple contracts on one job, so you can have different, versions or whatever. Or you can go to quoting worksheet. So we're going to start with contracts, and then we're going to go new contract. And all this does when you say new contract, it's going to open up this quote worksheet, and all your quote worksheets are stored here. And so there's different line items that you can add to a quote worksheet. So again, in SignTracker, you can have multiple signs on one job. So there's several different ways to add a line item to a quote worksheet that will be converted into a contract that's presented to the customer for their approval, or a bid, or whatever you want to call it, sign bid. So the first thing is a new line item. You can do, and there's 3 different ways to add a line item. The first way is it just makes a copy of the master template. Now in the template setup, and we'll talk about that a little bit from now, and there's also, like I said, shorter videos you can watch, there's a master template. Inside the master template, you have these item categories. You can see these item categories here, moving this around. And then you choose what do you want the markup to be for that category. This is great because in shops, all the shops do it different, and you might have a 65-75% markup on your materials, and actually in the setup you can actually put a little bit more of a markup on materials to cover things like waste and whatnot. So this markup here is more intended for the company markup, for the profit markup, to cover your overhead and profit. So, but maybe on your labor rates, you might enter your labor rates in what you charge the customer. Well, hey, I have a shop rate of $90 an hour. I have a field rate of $150 an hour, or whatever it might be. And so you don't have any markup here. And it'll still total the whole project under one contract. So it's great. I know a lot of quoting systems don't allow that. You just have your straight markup, your straight markup for everything, materials, labor, or formula items. And so in your master template, when you're setting it up, you can also set up formula items. Formula items are different than materials and labor. They're going to be things like $5 a square foot for a banner, or a 18 by 24 inch coroplast sign, single-sided printed, is $60 or whatever. So basically formula items could be anything you want. So in your master template, you're going to have these item categories with the different markups. Then you're going to choose what you want to show up in your item category drop downs. So do I want, just my formula items? Do I want my labor items or material items? So that's how the master template works. And you can just type in things on the fly. Like I added this special order category on my master template. So like say if I was going to order a banner stand, and I can just add it in on the fly. If I subcontract out the install, I can just add that in, and I can choose a markup and I can adjust it. And anything that you do to a template within a job doesn't hurt the original template. You can even add a category on the fly. Upcharges are going to be things like sales or rush charges. Discounts, you can give a discount, and if you want to give a discount, blanket discount over the whole quote, all it's going to do is go up to your item categories, and it's going to knock off that percentage based on what percentage you choose on the discount here. So extras are going to be things like if you want a line item down the bottom, let's say an art setup fee, or a permit fee, or a survey fee, or engineering, or whatever types of sign projects you do. Taxes, of course, are going to be added when you're actually doing the quote, and all your taxes are going to come over from QuickBooks. So if you're planning on syncing with QuickBooks, whether it's online or desktop version, it's best to do it sooner rather than later. So, and then, of course, you'd have a description. You could just type something in. And again, if this was just a quote on the fly, simple banner, you can name the quote worksheet anything you want. And notes and details, the client doesn't see this. So say if it was a special part order that you ordered from one of your suppliers, then you could type that information in there. And then you save it and add it. So I'm going to cancel this because I didn't want to necessarily go through setting up a custom quote. But you can, and you can do it rather quickly and on the fly. The best thing to do is, and again, you can watch the videos on setting these up, is to set up these templates for all your different sign types. And you can literally have anything. If you do t-shirts, that's great. If you do, bumper stickers, this particular one here, we have a client that does just beer distributors. And so he wanted to set up categories based on the brands, and then underneath each brand, he had quote worksheets for each of the sign types. So we'll just do a simple one. We'll say banner 4x8. So once you build these out, it's nice. So anybody in the shop can really do quoting. Now this, again, is just a copy of the template that you created. So you can make any changes you want to it. You might say, well, this client doesn't want grommets on this, but I had to clean up their logo. So we're going to say we had some production design time, and it took a couple of hours to clean that up. So I'm going to add 2 more hours to it. I'm going to add a category. So let's say this category is special order, and we're going to say that they needed a banner stand. And the banner stand was $100. And I know I have a little bit of wiggle room in here, so I'm going to add a little bit more to the markup on this particular item. And then it's going to have if you have commission, again, I preset this up in my template. If you don't have to have it, but maybe you want to add a rush charge. And we're going to say the rush charge is $25, not a percentage. And again, we're going to pass on a discount. Extras, we have a setup fee of $25 minimum for all of our art files, but we're charging him some cleanup time, so we're not going to charge it on this one. Taxes, we're going to go ahead and add taxes. Again, your tax rates are going to come over from QuickBooks. Now you have your description that you already typed out when you set this template up, but we're going to get rid of that because we deleted it, and we're going to add a banner stand and rush charge. Notes and details, again, if you ordered a special part, you might want to put that information here. The client doesn't see anything here. It's going to automatically pull down the job number, and then this is -3 being the third quote worksheet on this job. So now we're going to save it. Now, as you can see, it added a worksheet to the job. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add a line item from another worksheet. So we can go here, and this is great. So I can see that I have, okay, here's what we just quoted, And we're going to add another one of these, but it's not going to have a banner stand. So we're going to just clone this quote, and we're going to come down here. We're going to get rid of the banner stand, and then we're going to get rid of that. We'll keep the rest charge on there. Get rid of that. Save it. And now we just added another line item to this quote. Another place to get quotes is now you can go to all jobs, and this is great. This is a huge, huge update to SignTracker. So now I can look for quotes in old jobs. So let's say I did this floor graphic on an old job. I can clone it. It's going to pull it up from here, and I can I can make any changes I want to it. So if I wanted to say, well, this was a great price back then, but I'm going to add another $100 to it. And we're going to say on the taxes, we're going to get rid of that. We're going to add a tax. And this was an old job, so it was linked up to my old QuickBooks, so it's actually not going to pull the taxes. So I'm just going to leave it blank. And then you can have your description here. Again, notes and details, the client doesn't see it. You can change this to just floor graphics instead of duplicate. We're going to save it. And now we added another item here. And again, you can see it was looking for my old QuickBooks integration taxes. So you're not going to ever see that, because if you're starting new with SignTracker, you'll just be using a very clean version. In any case, now we have these 3 different line items, and we can now create a quote that we're going to give to the customer, a contract. And we're going to just go save and view. And now here we go. We have a contract that we can give to the customer. And there's a couple of things here you should know. If you're doing big accounts and you're doing national service work or something like that, or you have a customer that really wants to see a breakdown of the materials and labor, you can show itemization. So if you want to see an exact breakdown of this unit cost, it'll show you that. And then you can hide it if you don't want to see it. I personally like to just give the client the pretty description. When you're ready to send this off to the client, right now you have to download it as a PDF and attach it to email. We do have on our development path the ability to do this internally with a customer approval portal. We are working towards that. So, and matter of fact, if you have any feedback on that, we'd love to hear from you. If you use our little help and support tab here, just give us your ideas of what you'd like to see in a customer approval portal, because that's how we're developing now. We're just getting consensuses from our clients. And so what's most important to you becomes most important to us. So anytime you can comment on some ideas about SignTracker, it's a vote. So we appreciate it. And the other thing about this too is once this is approved, so we're going to mark this as pending approval, and then ultimately once the customer says, yeah, this is good to go, you mark it as approved. Here is where a link is going to show up, and it's going to say generate invoice. So if you are syncing with QuickBooks, you'll click that. You'll get to match each of these line items to a sales category in QuickBooks. It's going to send it over to the customer history under the customer account in QuickBooks and automatically generate an invoice for you. So if you don't have this customer in QuickBooks, not only will it send this over to create an invoice, but it'll set up a new customer in QuickBooks for you and then generate the invoice. So there's no double entry. Let's see, what else can I tell you about the quoting? I think that's pretty much it on the customer facing side. So again, you always do the quotes inside of a job, and then if you don't get the quote and don't get it, you can always move this whole thing to archived. So let's talk about setup. So we're going to go over here to setup. We're going to go to quoting, and we'll just go over this. And again, there's other videos you can watch that kind of go through this a little bit slower, but I just want you to understand where it all comes from. So basically you have materials, labor rates, and formula items, and then taxes, which again come over from QuickBooks if you're planning on syncing with QuickBooks. These items all feed into these worksheet templates that you create. So let's talk about these first. And there's an import tool here. You can copy and paste. This acts a lot like Excel. You can just upload CSV. There's, again, a video you can watch to help you. And if you get stuck, just give us a call and we can help you out, and reach out to us on the chat. The thing about materials that you need to know is the 50, 60 of them, whatever that's in here, It shows a lot more for me because I've uploaded the same spreadsheet a dozen times, but you can hide what's in there. If you don't want to see the ones that we are adding, you can just hide them. And so, but the thing is, with materials, it works a little different than the formula items. You have your material name, your category, so if it's a substrate or whatever, the unit price, how you sell it each. And this is what I was talking about as far as the additional markup. So I have some sign shop customers that say, hey, Joe, on vinyl, we mark everything up 100% before it gets marked up in the job. I know at our shop, especially anything that got, routed or plotted, anything that had drop, we would automatically add 10% to it, because no matter how tight you might nest a sheet of aluminum or acrylic or whatever, you're going to have some drop. Some items we always just had handling, like if we were having someone deliver vinyls and they had to be stocked, and so we would we would add like 0.04%, just even if it was just a couple dollars, just to cover some time for stocking. So, but this is you can actually put additional profit in for materials here too, but it's really more for covering waste and handling. So let's save that, and then let's talk about labor rates. Pretty self-explanatory. There's going to be about 25 of them preloaded in here. I would just suggest in the setup, because this is the part of any software system that can feel a little daunting, but I think we've tried to make it pretty easy in SignTracker. But I would go through and I would just delete the things that don't apply to you. And again, I think there's about 25 of them in there. And if it doesn't apply to you, delete it. If you like it and want to keep it, then just edit it and change the rate to what your rate is. A lot of shops just have a couple of rates. They'll have a shop rate and then they'll have a field rate. So it just depends. If you're a bigger shop and you have a bucket truck and a crane truck, you might have different rates for that. If you do vehicle wraps and you do some in the shop and some in the field, you might have different rates for that. So anyway, I would go through here. You don't have to have 26 different labor rates. You can keep it pretty simple. So, and the same with formula items. I think there's about 50 of them preloaded in here. I would go through if you're using formula items, and I would just adjust them to whatever your pricing is. And you can always delete them if you don't use them. Or if you don't use formula items at all, just hide them. But again, formula items are a little bit different than materials in that you have the name, again, the category, the unit price, and then you have how you sell it, unit, but then you also have variable pricing. So if, for instance, if this particular thing, banner, is $10.50 a square foot, you can say, well, if it's over, 100 square feet, it's 95% of the original price of $10.50, so they get a 5% discount. And then you can go, 200, they get a 90%, 90%, not discount, 90% of the original unit price. So 10% discount. This is also great for smaller print shops that do business cards. You could say, hey, on business cards, if it's over 501, it's 95%, 2,000, it's blah, blah, blah. So it's great if you do any kind of small print and stickers and all that. So anyway, so these items, material, labor, formula items, feed into the worksheets. And so when you get to your worksheets, the first thing you're going to want to do is set up a few categories. So banners, channel letters, commercial signs, whatever you want. And then you're going to go into your master template. So the goal with the master template, like I was saying when I was showing you inside the job, is just to adjust these item categories. So I want materials to show up in my drop-down menus. I want to mark my materials up 50%, labor, formula items, and then I added, special order items, things like banner stands or flashing, LED lights or whatever, anything that you don't normally, maybe you don't manufacture it, but it's a special order item, or maybe it's just something you're outsourcing, whatever. Subcontract, that might be if you're subcontracting out the install, or again, it could be fabrication or whatever. And then you can choose what your markups want to be. So once you get these item categories tweaked the way you want, you can drag and drop these things too, by the way. Just drag them and drop them into a different order if you like. You can add as many categories as you want. If you do have people that sell in your shop, that's fine. You can put in the amount of commission, so you don't have to retype that every single time. Discounts, you usually do that per job. Extras, if you're an electric sign shop and you do surveys and permits, and it's like every job, you might want to have your little list here. surveys, permits, engineering, and then have whatever that minimum might be. And then that way there you're not going to forget it when you're doing the quote within inside of a job. Taxes, obviously you don't usually add that here. Master template, you cannot change the name of it. So then you save it. We're going to cancel, not going to save mine. And now you're ready to build templates for any product you want. And I mean, literally, so whether, like I said, you do small print, screen printing, engraving, all the way up to big ADA packages, monument signs, channel letters, pylons, whatever. So basically we're going to go to the worksheet templates, and we're going to go new template. And then it's going to make a copy of the master template, and then you just start adding your materials and your labor rates. If it's a simple banner, you might want to just add, like you saw in the quote, 13-ounce white banner material, digitally printed, grommets, hems. And then, when you're actually doing the quote, you'll have the drawing in front of you. You'll see that it's a 4x8, and then you can make any adjustments on the sizes. So, and then you can add some labor. If it's just a formula item thing where it's $10 a square foot, and you're not going to have labor, you can just delete these. It's fine. Maybe you just want one category on a particular template, just formula items. Maybe I'll keep special order items because they might order something or subcontract. So. Again, you can add commissions and upcharges up front, extras. Again, you probably wouldn't add the taxes here. Then you can name this template, banner blank, 4x8 banner, whatever you want. This is where you're going to write a nice description about this particular product. Then you're going to add it to whatever category you want it to be in. And so once you get a bunch of these set up, then these all feed into the jobs. And then you'll have a list like this. You'll have all these different types of sign templates. So if you're right now walking around your shop and you're the one that kind of carries all the pricing, in a notebook or in your head, this is going to really help a lot for consistency in pricing. It's going to allow other people in the shop to do quotes for you, and it's going to take pressure off. It'll also stop bottlenecks if you're getting stuck on quotes. So. But there's some more videos you can watch on setup, so I'd encourage you to take a look at those. But I just wanted to give you a really good idea of where the information is entered in, and then where it feeds to, and then how to get a contract to the customer. So anyway, thanks a bunch for spending a little bit of time with me today. I hope this webinar on quoting was helpful. If you have any questions at all, please hit us up in our help and support section here. We're here to answer questions and to help. So thanks a bunch, everybody. Have a great day. And make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we'll be posting updated videos on a regular basis. And if you have any questions or suggestions, we'd love to hear from you through our chat tool found in the app. Thanks again. Have a great day.